Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I have an update and some really good stuff's happening from her father, from 14-year-old Emmarae Gervasi. Remember, she was the one who was kidnapped. Well, she disappeared and she was kidnapped, and she was located on a boat by her father after he got a tip 26 days after she was taken. So Long Island PD has arrested and charged a second suspect, and I'm thinking there's going to be more, guys. I really do. In connection to the month-long disappearance of 14-year-old Emmarae Gervasi, and her father believes that his daughter was a victim of sex trafficking, and I think he knows. I think he's got it right. Copenhagen resident Bunice Knight, who is 47 years old, was charged with second-degree RAPE, endangering the welfare of a child, as well as 3 counts of criminal sale of a controlled substance, apparently which was cocaine, according to court documents. Now, Knight is accused of having sex with the teenage girl while in his home on January 2nd, just one day before her father, Frank Gervasi, real-life Liam Neeson, discovered her on a boat in Whitecap Marina in Islip after receiving the tip from a female. And of course, all this stuff's coming out. Remember, he said, and we all believe, there was a lot more coming. And I believe I agree just with her father. I agree with Mr. Gervasi. This is a ring, okay? And thank God, he is, seriously, he's an amazing father, and he never gave up for 1 second. And he just got on that boat and rescued his daughter. Again, I think it's like the real life Taken, or the characters that actor Liam Neeson has played, for sure. And remember that she disappeared. Emmarae disappeared from her Patchogue home when she went outside to get something out of a vehicle, and she ended up entering an unknown car around 5 p.m. back on December 9th. Surveillance cameras from nearby homes identified the second suspect, Knight, and helped make the arrest this past Monday. Frank Gervasi is quoted as saying, "What is done in the dark will be brought to the light." He said that on Facebook once the arrest of second suspect was announced. And I'll tell you what, this family is going to fight to the end, and praise God for Mr. Frank Gervasi. During his arraignment on Tuesday, Knight pleaded not guilty, of course, while Suffolk County District Court Judge Alonzo Jacobs ordered Knight to stay away from the teen. Well, if she doesn't, I have a feeling her father will inflict some pain. Let's put it that way. Bail was set at $500,000 cash or $1 million bond, which apparently Knight has since posted. So he's out on bail, guys. He's out and he's free. If he's smart, he'll stay far, far away from this family. And according to Newsday, Knight previously spent over 5 years in a federal prison after pleading guilty to narcotics trafficking charges back in 2004. Just like Buck Holtz, the other suspect, his counsel, they're not really commenting. They're just saying there's more going on. So his defense counsel decided not to immediately make any statements or anything. But yeah, this is a very, very scary situation that happened to this 14-year-old girl, Emmarae. And I'll tell you what, her father, Frank, is the kind of guy that is going to fight for her. And this is the way all these fathers should be. I can tell you what, he is a New Yorker at heart, and I love the fight in him. He just created a YouTube channel as well, so I will link to that in the information of this video, and I'll probably play some of his stuff, but I wanted to go through his interview with Dr. Phil, and I do have to interrupt and make commentary because otherwise it's not fair use. So if you guys want to see it without my commentary, I will put a link to that also in the information of the video of this video.
Frank, it's so good to meet you, but I'm so sorry for the circumstance. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay. Nice to meet you also.
Well, I cannot even imagine the hell that you've gone through with your daughter missing for 14 days. Can you kind of walk us through first the moment that you were able to find her and discover her? That had to be a moment you'll never forget.
The moment I found her was probably a moment of elation and probably one of the greatest feelings I've ever experienced.
Well,
it was a pretty good feeling.
Well, I can't even imagine, and we'll talk about that more in just a few minutes. But I'm so thrilled for you, and I'm thrilled for your daughter. So just God bless that you found her, and I'm just thrilled to death that that's the case. Now let's go back to the night that she went missing. You have no doubt in your mind that your daughter was the victim of sex trafficking. Is that true?
That's 100% correct. Yeah.
And how did this come about? This was on December 9th, and I've kind of gone back and checked, and at this time it was in the high 40s maybe temperature outside, and she had no shoes on, no jacket on. I believe that what I've been told is that she ran out to get something out of a car. Is that correct? Tell me what you understand took place.
Well, I know it was torrential rain that night, and she was having a relatively good day. And we believe that she went outside to maybe retrieve something out of this person's car and might have been pulled in or abducted because she didn't look like she planned to leave at all. Again, she had no shoes on. It was pouring rain out. She had a very, like generic T-shirt on and some leggings. And she left everything she owns pretty much behind. So it didn't appear like she was looking to leave.
Okay, so this wasn't a parked car. You say she went out to maybe get something out of a car that someone else was driving.
Correct. You could see the car pull up on camera, but you really don't have a very good view of the car. The rain was super heavy that day and all the cameras were fogged out.
Right. And do you have any idea who was driving this car?
We do now. The police already took care of that. They had him in custody. And yes, we have all that information that I can't really disclose at this moment on the driver of that vehicle.
Was this someone that, without naming the person, was this someone that she knew, or do you believe it was somebody that she had met online?
This is definitely somebody she had met online. I know that she had been chatting with him prior to this disappearance multiple times through Snapchat and things like that. So it was definitely somebody she had been talking to online.
Okay.
And that's why it's very scary for these teenagers to be chatting with these strangers. And there's just so many predators out there. It's horrific. It truly, truly is. And they target young girls. And I know SOSA does amazing work in this area, as well as a lot of police departments. Obviously, they work with SOSA. But again, she's had some issues in her life, and she probably is looking for friends and people to talk to. And And I'm sure she trusted the wrong person, obviously.
Okay, so
Definitely an older, the person was definitely older than, he was in his late 30s, if I'm not mistaken.
okay. And you think that he maybe lured her to the car to for her to get something from him, and then maybe pulled her inside the car or lured her inside the car?
Yeah, we're not 100% sure on the actual events that took place to getting her into the vehicle, but we do know that she was with him, and he was doing inappropriate things to her, to say the least, and did remove her jewelry and things like that also.
Oh, is that right? So, and how did you come to know what took place between her and this individual driving the car? Is this something she told you after you were able to rescue her?
Yeah, 100%, Phil. Mm-hmm.
And when you talked to her, was she forthcoming about what had happened? And did she tell you that she didn't intend on leaving, or did she tell you that she was leaving?
To be honest with you, I didn't really get that far yet with her. The day I found it was a lot going on, a lot of detectives and a lot of interviews, and she's also in recovery and they're doing their thing. My time was pretty limited with her after I found her and we got to the hospital. My time's been pretty limited since, as far as visiting hours. They only give you 15 minutes of time. I don't want to really press her too much when I get there. I just want to kind of enjoy my time with her and just leave that interview to the police.
Of course. Now, shortly after after she went missing, she was found. There were images of her found on a hotel surveillance video at 2 a.m. At a motel in Bohemia. Is that correct?
That's correct, Phil.
And she was she? Does it show her knocking on various doors? What does it show?
I believe it shows her knocking on some doors on the, in the hotels, and we see her walk off camera, and that's kind of all we see at that point.
And how long was this after December 9th at 5 p.m.?
I have to say it was into the next morning.
Okay.
Into the next day, so it had to be like 2, 3 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, but it was that same night. It was later that
yes.
That's that same night. Okay, so but then she goes missing again after that. You find her on the surveillance videos, then she goes missing again.
Yes, so when she panned off camera, no one sure what happened to her after that point.
Okay, does she have a cell phone?
No, she didn't have a cell phone at all.
Okay, so do you think if she had the opportunity that she would have gotten to a phone and called you if she was able?
I feel like by that point, the drugs that the first person had given her had already affected her ability to make any good decisions at that point.
So obviously Dr. Phil's getting into some good points here. Remember that we heard that she was at this motel on the cameras, but Frank's answering the question about why, well, A, she didn't have a cell phone, and B, she was probably so drugged up that she couldn't think clearly. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was drugged up pretty much the entire 26 days.
So you think someone had given her something at that time, so she may have been in an altered state of consciousness?
100%.
Yeah. And did she have any history of using drugs before this time?
She's had some problems with substance abuse problems, correct.
All right. So do you think that may have been what she was going to the car to get, that someone had promised her some substances or something?
I'm not really sure, Phil. I got to be honest with you. I don't know.
You just don't know what may have lured her out there one way or the other.
Right. I'm probably learn these details soon, but I'm not 100% sure what the motive was on it.
Frank, during these days leading up to this anonymous tip, What did you think was going to happen? Did you think she had run away? Did you think she had been abducted? Did you think she was dead? What did you think during this almost 4 weeks? What did you think during this time?
I have to be honest with you. As a parent, every thought possible goes through your head. As the days go on, the thoughts get worse. Is she dead? Is she alive? Is she hiding? Is she kidnapped? You don't know what to think. It literally tears you up every second of your day. Your mind is nonstop thinking about, where is my kid? And if most parents that don't go through this cannot comprehend what it's like to have a missing child. It's an awful feeling. It really is.
Well, I can't even imagine. One of the things you won't hear me say is I know how you feel, and if you haven't been there, you can't know, can you?
It's horrible. No, I mean, when you find out your child is, God forbid, died, you have some closure. But when your kid is missing, there's no closure. It's just questions and upon questions and waiting for that phone to ring all the time.
Well, Christmas Eve, Frank made a heartfelt video plea urging the community to keep searching. And, Frank, this 26 days covered the Christmas holidays. And I can't imagine what was it like? What did you say to yourself when Christmas comes and your precious child is gone? What do you say to yourself?
It's probably one of the most depressing holidays I've ever had. You see families, reuniting and celebrating the holidays together. And I was out driving around looking for my daughter. And I think what made it even worse was some of the people on, social media, or whatever, calling me with fake tips or pretending to be her. And it was pretty depressing,
That's awful. And I know that kind of crap happens on all of these cases. And I know it happened on Monkey's case. It's happening on Sebastian's case. There is absolutely no reason to call a family or law enforcement with a fake tip. Especially the father or the mother, the family. And I can't imagine the extra hurt that caused him.
It was pretty depressing.
Well, shortly after she went missing, you did get a call early one morning that sounded like her. And then a quick hang up. What did the person on the other end say to you?
It was probably 3:00 in the morning. I don't even remember the time it was. I didn't sleep much during this time that she was missing, but I do remember I was sleeping. The phone rang. I picked it up and it said, "I love you." And it was my daughter's voice, and it hung up as quick as I can say, "Emma." It was the phone call was over.
Do you believe it was her?
I know it was her because I asked her and she said, yes, that was me. That was the only phone call she was allowed to make.
Oh, really? So it actually was her?
Yes. She confirmed that with me, and she said they allowed her to make a quick phone call to say, "I love you."
Okay. And when you say they, do you believe there was more than one person involved here at this time that was holding her?
100%.
Yeah.
Now remember, this interview was before this new suspect, the second suspect, was just arrested in this case. But I believe there's more. If he states there's somebody in their 30s, well, who was the one in the car? And who else? Who else was involved during that time period with the abduction and horrible things that happened to Emma?
And what makes you think that?
I can't disclose too much of that information, but I know that the person that had her on the boat was probably not alone.
Okay. And I know a lot of this is speculation because you haven't had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with your daughter as yet, and I know you look forward to that soon. But when you say that you believe 100% that she was trafficked, do you believe that the time they were holding her, that they were drugging her and violating her body, doing things with her or causing her to do things against her will?
100%. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Come on, Dr. Phil. Did you have to get that descriptive and ask that detailed of a question? I think that was a little much.
When she went missing at 5 o'clock, were you at the house at that time?
No, so I was on my way home. I had just had a very nice conversation with her. She seemed like she was in a great mood. She asked me what I was making her for dinner. I was making one of her favorite dishes for dinner. She said, "I love you, Dad. Can't wait to see you." And we had a nice conversation. And then about 5 minutes later, my little girl's gone.
Yeah. Who all lives in the home, Frank?
Just me and my wife.
Uh-huh. And is this her mother or her stepmother?
It's her stepmom.
Uh-huh. And was she in the house at the time that Emmarae went missing?
Yeah. Correct.
Was
She was. She was upstairs. Yeah, she was upstairs at the time.
Uh-huh. But she was just gone that quick.
Yeah.
When people saw that this happened, the community responded, but you also started getting some negative input and some negative messages during this time, correct?
There was definitely a lot of negative input, a lot of fake people, a lot of people offering me, telling me to have my daughter, and they wanted ransom money, $10,000, $15,000. They were sending me pictures of like blood splatter and all sorts of terrible things that just add to what's on your mind. At the time, it's pretty sad.
That is horrific. It is beyond horrific. Anyone that adds further pain to a family with a missing loved one, God, I hope you never have to deal with anything this awful and this painful. Truly.
Have there been fake GoFundMe accounts and that sort of thing set up as well?
Yeah, recently found a couple of fake GoFundMe accounts that I'm working on right now that I didn't really authorize. I don't really agree with GoFundMe. I did add a link to my page. I said, if you're going to donate anywhere, donate here. But I'm not asking for money. It's just that there was a few fake pages out there, and they're not linked to me. So I hope nobody's donating to those other GoFundMe pages.
Okay, so if they see a GoFundMe page out there, that's not you.
No, it's not me at all.
So don't fall victim to that. You don't want people doing that. You got a tip. What happened? Who called? What happened?
So God gave me a gift that day. The thing is that she's been missing for 26 days, and we would get a ton of leads. The police department was inundated with their own investigations, tips being called into the PD, et cetera. So it's very hard to follow every tip that comes in, and a lot of tips are bogus. People are trying to help. They think they see your daughter. I think I saw her here, or some people call you an hour later. But when the tip came in, I almost didn't believe it myself. It sounded a little far-fetched, but the lady seemed to know. And without going too much into details on the person that called in the tip, she seemed to have a lot of information on my daughter that was, pertaining to her, that made me believe that she might have been on that boat. She go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry.
You think the lady may have been on the boat?
She was 100% with my daughter when she called me, and she had told me some things about my daughter and maybe her tattoos and things like that made me believe that it was more and more legit as I was driving there. I did place a phone call to the PD and let them know where I was going. I know there's a lot of question marks about that on social media, but I did alert the PD and let them know where I was going.
All right, so you think this person may have been in the presence of your daughter at the time she made the call to you?
No, she was definitely in the presence of my daughter when she made the call to me.
Thank God for this person, this woman, but I still wonder what connection does she have to these two suspects? Was she also a victim? Did she know them? Was she involved? Again, more questions.
Oh, okay. So, and she told you things about your daughter that made you know that she was with her, had information that verified that for you.
Correct. Yeah.
What
I
did
mean,
she?
again, it was just about her tattoos that she has on her neck and things like that that made me believe that she really was not my daughter.
Well, that tells you a lot because that's detail. So she's telling you, I'm seeing this on her neck right now. So you know, she must be looking at her at that point. What did you think and
I
feel?
figured that. Yeah.
What did you think and feel when you hear this?
I was excited. I mean, I was hopeful. I was I was driving pretty fast to get there, and I was hoping that it wasn't a bogus tip. I really wanted it to be my daughter because I followed other tips in the past, and you get your hopes up, and then it turns out to be somebody else.
Wow.
So I was pretty hopeful.
Well, that certainly gave you some detail. So how far was it from where you were when you got the tip to the boat that you drove up on in Islip?
I was about 20 minutes away at the time I got the phone call, and I tried to keep the caller on the phone the entire time.
Were you able to?
I hung up to call the PD, and then I called her back, and she did pick. Thankfully, she picked my call up, and she was legit when she stayed on the phone with me.
Uh-huh. And was she still on the boat when she picked the phone up when you called her back?
No, she was never on the boat. She was outside the boat.
Okay.
With another person.
Okay, so she was still there though at the location when you called her back. She hadn't left.
Right. So she had been on the boat. She removed herself from the boat and said that she was standing outside the boat at the time when she called me.
Okay.
And that she was on the boat.
Frank, why do you think this person called you? I mean, what do you think motivated her? I'm asking you to kind of play psychologist for a minute here. Why do you think she called you?
I think the person might have maybe had a moment of clarity and felt bad, and realized that she might have been the missing girl, and just had like a moment of clarity and said, let me call the dad.
And we're not naming her, so you're not defaming anyone or putting anything in jeopardy. Do you think she was involved in this process before and had second thoughts about it? Do you think she was a bystander? How do you think she knew what was going on?
I definitely think she had some involvement to it. How much involvement, I don't know. It's unclear to me, but I definitely think she was an active participant in what was going on, sure.
So you think she may have been involved in the illicit acts that were going on around your daughter and felt bad about it, felt guilty about it, bonded with your daughter in some way?
I think so.
All right. But she stayed on the scene. And when you pulled up to the boat, was she still there?
Yeah, she was.
So you saw her.
Yeah, she was very nice, very open. I didn't feel threatened at all. She just wasn't too clear if the guy was on the boat or not. She said kind of going at your own risk kind of thing. And I just, at this point, it's been 26 days. I didn't want to take a chance of, God forbid, the police had to get some kind of warrant and the guy having to hide my daughter. I just didn't want to give any chance of anything. If this really was her, I just didn't want to wait. And I didn't want to take any chances of actually losing her. So I just kind of went in at my own risk.
Was the door locked? Was the boat locked? Did you have to kick it down? How'd you get into the boat?
Yeah, I kind of busted through the door and went in.
Yeah, and did you find her right away, or did you have to look around?
No, she actually came walking towards the door, as I guess because she heard all the the commotion going on, so she came walking towards the door. But there was like a curtain in front of me, so I couldn't really see it was her at first. And then the moment I saw her, it was a beautiful moment.
Wow, he broke down the door again. This makes me think of all the Liam Neeson Taken movies. But this is real life. This girl was really in true danger. But he broke down the door. He disregarded his own safety because that is his little girl on that boat behind that door.
And did she recognize you at the time? I know you say she was in an altered state of consciousness. Did she realize it was you?
Instantly knew it was me. And she was surprised that I was there. She said, "How the hell did you find me?" She was definitely happy I found her, and she seemed relieved.
What did she say? What did she do when she realized my dad's here? My father is in this room on this boat. What was her reaction?
Dad, oh my God, I can't believe you found me. We both hugged each other. We cried, and it was an absolute beautiful moment.
And
it was a beautiful moment.
Was she relieved that you were there? Was she embarrassed? Was she excited? How do you think, what was going through her mind and heart?
I definitely think she was relieved I was there. She didn't seem to be upset that I was there. She was very excited to see me. She seemed relieved, and we actually sat down. When I realized there was nobody else in the boat at that moment, we sat down. We had a nice conversation until the police arrived. And it was a beautiful moment.
So at that point, what happened with your daughter? Was she taken to the hospital? Did she go by ambulance, police car? What did they do with her at that point?
Yeah, we went in the ambulance. They assessed her, and then we went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. But is it your belief that she is getting better each day now? Is she on the upswing?
Yes, she's definitely getting the help she needs. She's in recovery, and she is safe right now.
All right.
And that's what matters to me, is the frightening part of her being missing, to at least knowing she's safe and getting some help right now.
There's a little bit more to that interview. Again, I'll post the link if you would like to watch it in its entirety. Again, Dr. Phil sometimes gets a little, I think he sometimes pushes a little too hard. But, yeah. I think that this family is going through a lot. And I'm glad that Emmarae is doing much better. And that they have now 2 suspects in this case. And I hope they find every single person involved. And if this is a ring like it's suspected it is, I hope they can continue to find the others attached to it, because God knows how many other teenage girls have been taken or could be taken by these horrible monsters. It's a sick world out there, and these teenage girls they just don't see the danger when they're talking to people online. And I'd say is thank God that Emmarae was able to be found. Yes, she's dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, and horrific things that happened to her during those 26 days. But thank God that she's now in a safe place, back home. I don't know if she's still in care or not at this point, or if she's back home at this point, but she's definitely getting the help that she needs so that she can move on. And definitely, I'm sure she's going to help in any possible way that she can with the prosecution of these two horrible monsters. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.